All right, here is a quick review of the verb ir in Spanish, which means to go. And we're going to talk about how to use it in the present tense. So we're going to learn how to say things like I go, and technically it's also going to mean at the same time I am going. So think about that. In English, it's almost two completely different tenses. I go, I am going. In Spanish, when people use the present tense, it sort of has that double meaning most of the time, especially with this verb. When you learn the verb ir, you'll notice it's very strange in that the infinitive form, it's just the letters IR. When you actually use it conjugated in a sentence, it looks like an entirely different word. The letter V comes out of nowhere, the I and the R go away. But this is a chart. You would definitely want to copy this down in your notes if you don't have this memorized. These are the different versions on how to conjugate the verb ir. So ir means to go, but if I want to say I go or I am going, I would say voy, or I could also say yo voy. You go, tú vas. He goes, she goes. Él, ella va. We go, or we are going. Nosotros vamos. I usually skip vosotros because that's only used in Spain. And finally, you guys go, ustedes van, or they go. Ellos van. Ellas van. However, just like in English, usually when you use this verb, you're trying to say someone is going to a place, and you have to add that word for to. In Spanish, the word for to in this case would be the letter A, pronounced a. So, for example, if I want to say I am going to the library, voy a la biblioteca. Voy a la biblioteca. And notice there how it's kind of like the verb has that ing ending, like not just I go to the library, but I am going to the library. It technically has that double meaning. And then the other example there, you'll notice is a little different. It doesn't say the students, it doesn't say a, it says al. And the reason for that is in Spanish, when you combine the words to the, if you're using the masculine version, a él, it sounds a little funny to keep them separate, so they just combine the words together. A plus él equals al. Los estudiantes van al gimnasio. The students are going to the gym. And when you ask a question, where are you going? Donde is the word for where. However, if you're trying to ask someone where is someone going, you still have to use that a, but it's like it's placed suddenly at the beginning and combined with the word donde. ¿A dónde vas? Where are you going? One thing that a lot of my students forget about when using this verb, and one of the reasons why this is absolutely one of the most useful verbs you can use in Spanish, is it can also be used to talk about future plans, just like in English. So instead of saying, oh, I'm going to school, like maybe you're saying you're doing that right now, you can also say, oh, I'm going to my house after school. I'm going to eat dinner after school, or whatever. If you're talking about something you're going to do in the future, you can also use the verb ir just like you would in English. And there's a few examples here on the slide. You can pause it and read those carefully. And just make sure that the activity, whatever verb you use after, whatever thing you are going to do in the future, make sure that second verb is in the infinitive form, not conjugated. So finally, the big ideas. You definitely want to know those 5 different versions of the verb and when to use them. So verb-subject agreement. It's the difference between saying I go, he goes. The verb has to match the subject. Second big idea, you're almost always using the word a afterwards, because it's just like you're saying the word to in English. Voy a la tienda. Voy a la tienda. I'm going to the store, or I go to the store. And the final big idea is you can also use it to talk about the future and make sure whatever activity you're doing in the future, just leave in the infinitive afterwards.